Welcome to our first episode. My name is Helena Milevych. I'm head of products in KP Labs. And today we are launching podcasts with a very special guest, Michał Zachara, the CEO of KP Labs.
Hi, Helena. Hi, pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me for the very first podcast. And I'm happy that we are starting this series.
Thank you. Thank you very much for finding time. So, before we start, I wanted to maybe highlight why we decided to start and to launch the podcast. So the idea that, as we know, onboard data processing from inside out, we've been working with this from 2016. We thought that it would be great to share the knowledge, to gather the community around the topic as there are more and more interest. So that would be great to build a community where we could, exchange ideas. So before we start, did you know that black panthers are actually leopards?
Okay.
And jaguars have a lot of black pigments in their coats. So there is no such a thing as a black panther. It's just a normal cats with the dots.
Fake animal.
Yeah, that's very exciting, and we'll show it right here. You will see the animals. It's amazing how they look. So Michał, tell us about yourself, about your journey to the KP Labs, because before, as far as we know, you didn't have experience with space. Maybe your first memories. That would be cool.
Okay. So coming back to memories, I joined KP Labs in 2018, I believe it was, and I wasn't fully connected with space back then, but from the very beginning of my journey with adult lifestyles, so work experiences, I was connected to technologies. So I was connected to software development.
Mm-hmm.
So my background is on that part. But after that, I switched my career to more management path. And in 2018, after 10 years in one large company, I decided to quit. And suddenly, out of sudden, it appears that KP Labs is just next to the corner. Yeah, exactly. And I was unemployed for like 15 seconds because just after throwing my previous job, I joined the KP Labs. And it was really cool experience because I left quite a large company with all the processes, tools, assets, facilities, etc., to join the very, very early days of startup. So back then, when I was joining the KP Labs, we were not located in our new fancy buildings, but in the rental space. And to get to this rental space, we had to go through the museum. So every day, I was visiting the museum and took the very short tour. And my first experience when I joined KP Labs was that I went through this museum, I opened the doors, and went into a very large open space. And in this open space, guys who were connected to the software development were flying drones. So they had like some kind of race or something like that. So it was just blowing my mind because from the corporate, I went to the museum and then to the company where guys at 10 o'clock are flying drones to have fun. And it was totally different perspective. So I was from the very first day very happy that I changed my career. I joined KP Labs to become a product owner. And after some time, I think it was half a year or a year, I became a COO. And from that time, I'm still here. So.
Cool. Yeah, that's fun about the drones. I didn't know it. It's pretty fun experience.
Well, and you joined like 1 year after me, so something like that. So we are.
Yeah, exactly. And my memory is that at that days, like same as you, I was working in the IT industry. And then I switched to KP Labs, and that was I remember a few memories. Like the first one is that it was such a different pace and such a different speed, because in the IT industry, I was working with the products, some of the SaaS products, some of the physical products, but it should be fast, like real here, there. Like you're changing something, you run, you check, you see, you verify, and then again and again. And in the space industry, it was a completely different experience, especially if we're talking about hardware as we have. It was like, oh my God, is it even possible to change, the way you think, the way you work? So that was like very, very interesting. And then like the second memory that I have, also pretty fun, because like for me before, I had no experience with the space industry also. So for me, it was like, satellites, it should be something like the one they go to the geostationary orbit, like big, fancy, white, sleek, all these beautiful things. Or like the spaceships, so they go to the ISS, to the International Space Station, these ones, they're like huge and large and people could live in there. So like they're really huge. And then I remember one day I saw a model. I don't know if it was a 3U CubeSat or a 6U CubeSat. It was like,
that's it?
Yeah, like, what? Is it the one that we work with? Really? Like, something small. It was like black and brown with some, I don't know, plastic and with some, metals or something. It was like, no way. I can't believe this thing could work and it goes to space. So that was like the second very fun memory. And third one, I remember it's more on the, let's say, professional side. I remember when we were speaking about the onboard data processing, like 6 years ago, it was like, what? What are you doing? Why do you want to process in orbit? It was like, are you crazy? You can send everything. And that was fun, because I see, we will discuss it a bit later, but I see this, transfer and change and how it's, went, and it's just, mind blowing.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe, as we're speaking about the new space and the KP Labs, what are the most highlights and challenging while working for this 7 years in the KP Labs? What you can remind?
Oh my God. 7 years in 5 minutes. Well, basically, what reminds me constantly about the change is how we change throughout this year. So as you mentioned, the very first satellites and very first hardware parts were for new space market. And it was, all the crazy ideas put into the one box and very rapid development to make it work in a very, very fast pace. But from that moment, we had to change as a company, as a whole company, to change, first of all, the procedures, the mindset, the way how we work day by day. We had to build the whole facilities for our hardware and software and algorithm development.
Yeah, and so lab, huge one.
Huge lab, and it came with a lot of effort. So on each level of organization, we had to put a lot of effort to make this transition from let's say student organization to the company that delivers serious projects for serious agencies with very, very good quality. So it was a very tough run, and it was like 8 years or 9 years this year we'll have, and it seems to be long, but having in mind how much we achieved and how many things happened during this time, it was just a sprint. So I understand your different perspective when you were creating the software products from the hardware, because it's much longer iteration to deliver the new hardware piece, but it's still the very, very hard run. So
yeah, and I think it's very important also to feel this amusement and gratitude, because we see the results right now.
Exactly.
For the last few years, even though the first years were very difficult, and hard and challenging to show that we're a serious company and we'll stay here for a bit longer. And right now we have this kind of ease to work with the agencies, to work with our partners, and they come to us. And I think, that's an amazing result. And I think it was worth waiting for it.
And it's great that we still have pretty the same joy when we are realizing the everyday job. So that the projects are a little bit different, more complex, harder, of course. But I think what is totally the same from the very day one to now, we have a hell of fun at KP Labs. So nevertheless, the company has changed. We change as well, but we still have this joy. And very memorable moment for me and for you for sure was the Intuition One launch when we gathered with the whole company and looking at the result of 6 years of development put into the rocket and flew into the low Earth orbit. It was just amazing that your everyday job comes to this particular moment in time, and you can just observe what will happen next. So I believe in none other industry you can have the same moments and emotions.
Yeah, that's true. I remember this picture when Intuition One is sitting inside the rocket.
Yeah.
And that was fun when you're observing, when you're watching the stream from NASA, and you see like, whoa, we're launching the satellite. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But as we're speaking about the transition, how it feels for you to manage company like this? I know that you have a huge experience with the delivery management in the big IT company. So how it feels for you to have managed new space company?
Well, it's not a piece of cake. On some level of responsibility, you're waking up in the morning and then finding out that all the issues that you are dealing with are the problems. So usually my job in the organization is to deal with problems on every level, from delivery to sales to marketing, but also to the problems related to larger projects, to customers. It's funny because usually when you are on the C level, you are not getting the very good information. The good information are reserved to other place. You are only getting the worst case scenarios, and every day is like I'm opening the doors to the KP Labs, and the bucket of problems is just throwing at me. But
waiting for you every day. It's a stability.
Exactly. But on the it's maybe crazy. It's like Stockholm syndrome, but I like it because you feel that you are responsible for something, and your job really matters. So it's great. In terms of KP Labs, we are growing. We grew from 3 people to 85 right now, more or less. The company is growing, the revenue is growing, but the problems and challenges are quite the same, but they are just bigger. So when we
grow and the problems also
grow.
Okay.
But it's also fun because we are on the very fast learning curve. So I wasn't meant to deal with the organization management from the very beginning of my experience with KP Labs. I had to learn everything, of course, not by myself, because we had perfect team to do it. What is important for me is that every time we are in all problems together, so we are helping each other. We are trying to survive together, and I learned a lot during this 7 years how to deal with organization, how to deal with people, how to deal with managerial issues. So it is a huge fun for me.
Cool. Sounds great. So speaking about the team, how will you describe KP Labs in one sentence?
Okay, that's a tough one. So I believe what is very important, as just mentioned before, in our company, basically on a high level, all the companies are quite the same. So all the companies have similar problems, have similar aspects, have similar goals on a very high level, of course. But what I believe is very important and different in KP Labs that we are partner in crime. So, and it's every time all for one for all. So never, despite of the kind of problems, challenges, moments of happiness, we are in this thing together. We are helping each other, and it was from the very beginning of the company. We are here as a team. So I would describe the KP Labs as a team player or something like that. So we are here together and we are solving all the issues together. So it's great.
Yeah, thank you for, highlighting it, because that's exactly what I feel in KP Labs, that, even despite the misunderstandings and some issues, we're still, very team players. We are all together, to meet the goal that we have. And that's, it's amazing to have such a team. So we spoke about all the different aspects and about the wide context of who we are and what we're doing here. So maybe let's talk about KP Labs. So KP Labs, what kind of company it is, what we're doing here?
Okay.
Tell us.
So long story short, we are focusing on onboard data processing. So we deliver all the technologies that are needed for onboard data processing, starting from hardware, so data processing units, software, so flight software for managing this onboard data processing chain, and then particular algorithms to do the job on the satellite. And the onboard data processing is required in a very various aspects. Usually, we started with the Earth observation. Our first mission that I mentioned in like 5 minutes ago was Intuition 1, and the whole company started with Intuition 1. So it is a Earth observation mission using hyperspectral satellite to capture the data from the Earth surface and process all the data on the satellite. And the reason why it happens on the satellites is because the data generated by the hyperspectral instrument is very, very large. So transferring the whole data set to the ground would be costly and quite tough, because the time window to send all the data to the ground is quite short. So instead of doing everything on the ground, we decided to move this processing chain to the satellite, and we started with the Intuition 1, and then we transitioned to the onboard data processing company. So this is what we do. We are right now engaged with various missions. I believe there are 7 missions ongoing. We deliver hardware for that, software, sometimes both. And the missions are totally different. So we started with Earth observation, but right now it's much broader aspects. So like space debris observation, the deep space missions. So all the things that you can imagine that needs some kind of processing, we are here to help.
Yeah, and this is very interesting, because I remember when we had only Leopard, and then we met to discuss about another product, and suddenly we came up with the whole idea of this smart mission ecosystem, like, how it's all could work together and support each other. And, it's like a pieces of puzzle that you could, order and then reorder to make sure that it could support your mission. So that was also pretty fun when we meet, something crazy could happen.
Yeah.
So that's fun. But so the main aspect that we're focusing as the company is the onboard data processing. And one thing I believe is worth mentioning is that, of course, we have the solutions, we have the cost components, but also we have teams who are supporting this whole process of onboard data processing. These are the mechanical teams, the thermal teams, electronics, FPGAs, onboard data processing teams, like mission analysis. So all the teams supporting. And I believe that this is a unique selling point for us as a company, that we are not only selling the piece and that's it, like we have nothing to do with this after sale, but we can support the whole missions.
Yeah, we can take care of you.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we'll discuss later, because I think this is a very interesting aspect, how we could incorporate the solutions in the various missions.
But I don't know if you remember, before Leopard, we had zebra product. It was our very first product, and the whole animal started with zebra. It was our camera for UAV.
Yeah, and that was your idea, actually, the zebra. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. So speaking about the onboard data processing, maybe let's start from the beginning. Why do we need it at all?
Okay. So usually we divide the group of customers or people who need this kind of solutions to two groups. First one is the one that needs to avoid transferring a lot of data to the ground. So they would like to process some information on the satellite or the rover or any kind of spacecraft to reduce the transmission of the data to the ground. And the second group is very often a group that needs to take some decisions on the spacecraft itself. And the reasons might be very different. So sometimes it's because of the fact that you do not have the connection with the operator. So for example, the autonomous missions to Mars, and that the speed of transmission is so low that you have to take some of the actions on the rover itself. Sometimes it's because of the fact that you need to take the action very fast. Like when you are docking one satellite to another, you cannot steer with joystick. You have to take some kind of autonomous decisions on the satellite. And sometimes it's because of the fact that you just don't want to waste your time on operations. So you would like to make more of things on the spacecraft. So usually those are the groups, and we can imagine it's very similar problem or solution to our mobile phones. So in the past, our mobile phones were very limited. Me and you just play Snake or things like that on our Nokia 3310. And right now it's the computer in the pocket.
Yeah.
And the same happens with the spacecraft. So spacecraft becomes more and more intelligent, more and more sophisticated and complex. So the payloads are more complex. They are generating more data to be transferred to the ground. So we are moving kind of part of the processing to edge. So this is what we do, and this is why OBDP is important.
Yeah, and another example that I face while working with our clients and partners is when you actually cannot transfer data to the operator for an action, and it could be like in-orbit servicing when you have two satellites, especially the geo orbit, and you need to connect to satellites, right? So this is the example. Or for example, it's a lunar mission when it's a lander, communication between the lander and rover, or let's say a few rovers, they decide between themselves what are about to do. So this is also the examples that could be useful. And also what I'm also thinking about is it's pretty in the future, but still the manufacturing process in space manufacturing. And that's, if we want to go to Mars, if we want to go to all the other planets or asteroids, we need to transfer the whole manufacturing process to the space because it's economically kind of impossible to bring everything from the Earth. So I think that's another aspect. Like we're not only serving what's happening right now, but also it's a huge it's like a bridge to the future because we have this gap, in the potential issues or the potential issues right now that will be the real issues in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
right?
It's a huge leap for the mankind.
Yes, exactly. So maybe, as we already mentioned the Leopard and the Intuition One, so the very beginning. So maybe we'll see the pictures of the both right here, but maybe let's just, talk in like a few sentences about the one and the second one. So Leopard, our animal, the favorite one, I believe.
Yeah, so Leopard is our third data processing unit. Right now, we've got 3 of them in our portfolio. So from the very beginning, it was targeted to small and medium-sized platforms, rather for new space. So we treat this as a commercial off the shelf to be put without any modifications to the satellite itself, and it's the most popular product of ours right now. We developed it for the Intuition One, but right now we also using it in different missions for our customers. And the thing about the Leopard is that we started with this very narrow knowledge about onboard data processing, which grew during the years, and we thought that maybe it would be the best fit for Earth observation. Right now, majority of customers are coming from totally different branches, like you mentioned, in orbit servicing, or some
SSA
missions, exactly. So, and even we are proposing the Leopard to the lunar mission. So this is strange, because you haven't even thought that it might happen, and right now it happens. So it's pretty cool. When it comes to Intuition, as I mentioned, the whole company started with Intuition. We had this crazy idea, maybe when we are setting a company that will be in the future the biggest company in the world, we should start it with something that is a little bit too complicated to us, because we will learn how to deal with things, and we decided to build our own satellite, hyperspectral satellite. I believe back then none of us knew what hyperspectral was, and what kind of challenges appears when you are dealing with satellite construction. But because of the fact that it was a little bit too challenging, we learned a lot, and we made mistakes during the design process. We designed not only the Leopard for the Intuition One, but also the hyperspectral camera.
Yeah.
We had like 3 or 4 iterations of different designs for cameras. We had 2 or 3 designs of Leopard back then. The idea for Intuition One at the very beginning was that we'll take the graphic card from the market, we'll buy the lens from the market from Canon, we'll put it on the satellite, and then we'll
it will magically work.
Yeah, it will work like a charm. We'll fly it with SpaceX, and that's it. Job is done. And it appeared back then that it was quite a crazy idea, and we had to rework everything. Because of that, we learned the whole process. So we learned from the very beginning of the mission planning up to the mission integration and operation, how it works. So it was a very good step for us, because we had to act quite fast.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing because we walked through the whole process, like mission concept, and then all the steps up to the operation, because we also do operation internally. So it also shows us, like in real world, how the mission works. Yeah. So we could actually support our partners in all the different, steps.
Parts of the mission, yeah.
Yeah, so that's amazing. But also what made Intuition One construction even more complicated is the COVID that happened.
Yes.
And nobody, could predict it. So that was additional, let's say, level of the complexity when we have the borders shut up, when there is no way to bring something from from another country, and then you cannot go to another country to do the test. So that was also another kind of level of complexity.
I forgot about it, yeah.
Yeah, so that was also, pretty interesting experience in how to manage crisis and make sure that, everything works.
But we are good at crisis management, I believe.
Yeah, I think this is the very nature, the very essence of our company. So we discuss in general how it works and why onboard data processing could be essential for the mission. So maybe right now, let's speak about the specific projects and missions that we have in portfolio to show how it works and how could it help in real life.
Okay. Oh, in total, I think we have right now like 20 projects in general.
And we already finished 25, another 25.
Yes, exactly. But not all of them are missions. So missions, we have like 6 or 7 missions right now ongoing. Maybe I will mention just a few of them, which are the most interesting. So we delivered the data processing unit for next generation of OPSAT satellite, which is like flying laboratory. And it's pretty cool because many people would have an opportunity to test their algorithms on board of the satellite using our DPU. So we'll be a part of this chain that gives this opportunity to various players to test their first algorithm on board.
And I would say,
and we were in this position in the past, so
exactly.
it's very nice experience that from that role we switched the role a little bit, and we are developing this project with our partners from UK and also with European Space Agency. In next couple of months, the Polish astronaut will take the Leopard to ISS, and one more time it will be a part of the bigger experiment and the laboratory for experimentators who will have a chance to deal with their own algorithms to be put on the ISS. But the very pretty cool about this particular project is that real human, Sławomir Uznański, our Polish astronaut, will take the Leopard to the ISS, and he will place it in the special module. So it's nice to be a part of this mission because it's our second astronaut in 40 years of history. So we are part of something bigger, and then it's very exciting. And one of the mission that we also took part is a fire-up mission with our partners from ESA one more time, and it was a cool mission. It is a cool mission because one more time we were proving together with different companies that this onboard data processing is not only some blocks from the books. It brings the value to the whole industry, and we were part of this first, one of the very first satellites that were more intelligent than in other.
Yeah, and I think this, the case of cloud detection is pretty amazing. That there was already one satellite, commercial one, that we were providing this cloud detection algorithms. And, the fun fact about Europe is that like 70% of the time we have clouds.
Yeah.
So it's, great weather. Thank you very much for this. But so it would be great, to kind of cut this data, because if you're not observing the clouds, this data is pretty useless, but you still have to pay for it to transfer everything to the ground station. So I think it's very, very important and very useful thing. But also, when you were talking about the projects, I reminded myself that, I'm always kind of have this joke that I'm collecting the logos of different space agencies, because we used to work with the ESA, of course, and that's the majority of our project, but also we had project with NASA in cooperation with the CBK PAN. Then we had project with our Canadian partner for the Canadian Space Agency. We had a project with the university for the DLR, which is a German space agency.
Yeah,
so
and Polish space agency as well.
Yes, exactly.
But
so
it's funny because in the past, when I was thinking about this kind of collaborations, people from NASA or from ESA, there were kind of aliens that are not achievable for people like us. And right now we are working with them, and it's so cool because they are just regular, normal guys with whom you are solving the problem, the challenges, the issues. So it's fun perspective that when you are young, you dream to work with this kind of in this kind of industry with these institutions, and now it happens. So it's great.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe let's zoom out and have a bit broader perspective on what's happening on the market and what are the trends on the onboard data processing. Just a few words.
Okay. This is quite a common question, so I will tell the same story as usual. When we joined the KP Labs and went to the first Space Tech Expo Bremen in 2018 or 19, I had a privilege to be a panelist, and we discussed some aspects of space. I was talking about onboard data processing, and I was this strange guy who was talking about these crazy things that nobody believed that will happen. And right now, after 6 years, it appears to be a normal thing. So it's a very, very common thing to be done on the satellite or the spacecraft level to have this onboard data processor. And in the future, I believe it will be only growing. So as I mentioned, the satellites are more and more complex. The data streams generated by the more and more complex payloads are bigger. We are taking the different streams of data from one satellite. So one satellite can have multiple cameras that search for different aspects. So it happens that the very basic satellites, well, they were very complex, but with basic payloads are growing to the very complex things, and because of that, we have to also process more and more data. So I believe there is no exit sign here. We have only one direction to grow with this market. So it's very cool to be in that particular moment of the company existence and grow.
Yeah, and that's pretty fun. As you mentioned, Space Tech in Bremen. I was a panelist last year, and there was the whole panel, like 1 hour dedicated to AI and onboard data processing.
Exactly.
And what was fun is that the whole space was packed with people. There were even standing people. So it's also a sign of a huge interest within the industry to this specific aspect. And I felt that 1 hour was not enough. And other panelists, when we were discussing after the event, that it could be actually much longer than 1 hour because there are so many details and so many, things that you want to share, you want to say, because like in one company, we're doing it this way, but in another company, we do it something, from the other perspective. So that's a huge difference. But also maybe let's dream like in 10 years, in 20 years, what could we do with the onboard data processing?
Well, I believe that we are heading to the concept of space data centers. So the whole computation will
and
eventually,
we already have the science of it actually.
Will eventually be moved towards spacecrafts themselves. So you can imagine, for example, for the lunar or planetary exploration, that you have to install the whole facilities over there. So probably the very first things to be done there would be to set up the servers. Of course, not the servers that we know from the ground, but the more sophisticated and complex servers. But this is something that we'll need to have there to first of all gather the data, to store the data, but also to process them, to transfer the meaningful insights to the ground.
Or not to transfer, but let's say to transfer back from the server on Leo to, I don't know, to Mars or to the moon.
Exactly, and there will be more and more autonomy over there in planetary exploration. Sending human to space is quite a big stuff because we are not meant to. We are not programmed to survive the radiation effects in space. So it's much better to send the robot over there for the space exploration. And this robot also has to get some kind of autonomy to make things happen on the surface of the planet or the moon. And it's not so far in the future, because this kind of projects, of course, on the low TRO technology readiness levels starts right now. We are participating in this kind of projects, for example, for lunar exploration, for delivering the solutions to bring more autonomy to the lunar rovers. We are dealing with the asteroid explorations projects, when we are developing the scenarios to scan the asteroid to get the information what's there, what kind of resources can be found on the asteroid. So this future is happening right now, and it's very important about the space industry, that when you are thinking about the software development, 10 years everything will be different, especially in the world of AI, when the world is changing so fast. In space exploration, 10 years is just nothing. So you are starting to plan the mission right now that will happen eventually in 10 years time. So you need to think a little bit from the very beginning, you have to focus on innovations. So this is why a lot of innovations are transferred from the space market to the ground, because you have to innovate all the time, because after you will be in a position to send the stuff to space, you'll be 10 years or 5 years older. So this is the case.
So we're getting closer to the very end of our webinar.
It was a pleasure to talk.
Yeah,
with you. We finally had some time to talk to each other. Usually in the office it's like constant work.
Yes.
So we had 30 minutes of time to talk.
Yeah, exactly. In peace. So thank you very much for finding time, and thank you for sharing all the, insights and memories and feelings that you have. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Helena.
And so it was the very first episodes. We hope that you like it. And in the following episodes, we will be discussing in more detail what's onboarded process is, how it could help, about our specific projects and missions. And for now, please do subscribe to our channel. Please follow us on LinkedIn. We'll be sharing Leopard ISS details, and we also share all the other details on our channels. And of course, please leave the comments and questions below. So for the next episode, so we can, reflect, we can respond to your question. Maybe something was unclear or something that you always wanted to ask, but it was, never had a chance to. So we're happy to take these comments and reply. And of course, there is a newsletter. We're not spamming too often. It's like once in a quarter. Another chance is if you're interested to talk to me or to someone else within the company, you could go to our website, how to connect and get in contact. Maybe you have some ideas, about the project, or just you want to talk with us and share some ideas. That would be awesome. And I believe this is it. See you next month.